What's up, everyone? It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another edition of Coffee with Colin. So whether it's a cup of joe or an adult beverage, feel free to sit down and grab a comfortable seat, and we're about to have another amazing conversation today. You know, I am super excited because not only is my guest someone who I can relate to, but just want to tell you really quickly, this past weekend, I did something kind of crazy. I jumped out of an airplane, and some people may say, like, why the hell would you do that? And it's one of those things where I'm afraid of heights. And I was in Utah. I had an amazing opportunity to go speak at this conference, virtual, of course. And while I was there, I was like, you know what? I'm starting my new Inspire Master class. And what better reason or way to inspire people to go out and overcome the challenges in life that stop them from accomplishing and pursuing the things that matter to them than jumping out of a freaking airplane. And one of the things I learned was that, you know what, it's all about trust. It's about trusting people who have done it before you, and getting strapped in with this guy behind me, did a tandem dive, and, it was all good until that door opens up, and then it is go time. And there's no way I would have jumped out of this airplane if it wasn't for knowing that this guy had done like 5,000 jumps before me. And that's what life is all about. It's about having people in your life to inspire you, to show you the ropes, who have been there before. And if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you need a little motivation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my masterclass at the end of the show. But first, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Picticular. If you haven't downloaded the Picticular app, it is the #1 movie curating app. And after tonight's episode, my guest will have her Picticular 6 on there. So we're going to be talking about her favorite movies and her favorite actors and all that good stuff. My good buddy, Todd Courtney, this is his brainchild. And thank you, Todd, because I hate sitting down in front of, Netflix or whatever it is and trying to find a good movie to watch. So this is a great way for you to sit down and get some great movie recommendations from my guests. So without further ado, I want to just let you know that, I've been was a model for very many years. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most exciting and eye-opening experiences in my life. Living in Italy and Paris and getting to travel the world, it just opened up my eyes to so many different amazing things, different cultures, different ways of doing things, different philosophies. And I'm excited to have my next guest on here because she and I have a lot in common with regards to growing up in Chicago. She's a Chicago native as well. And we are going to be talking about how she made it from Chicago onto the biggest stage in the world on the Victoria's Secret fashion show. This is so exciting. I can't wait to have her on here. So ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together for Miss Erin Heatherton?
Hey.
How you doing, Erin?
I'm so well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Since I'm doing an interview with a supermodel, I figured I needed to spruce it up a little bit. How do I look?
You look amazing.
Yeah?
You're kind of exciting me right now.
I was thinking about having to bust out some of my Zoolander moves for you. Maybe,
I feel like you could really do that.
if we have time at the end, I'll show you my blue steel.
We can have a face-off maybe.
Okay.
We can enjoy that.
We can do that. But I just want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you offering your time and your generosity of spirit to come on here and just tell us a little bit about what it's like being, a model. And I've got a lot of great questions from some audience members who are very interested in hearing about your story, where you came from, where you're at now, and where you want to go in the future. Mm-hmm. And, this show is all about just sharing insight and advice. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Colin. I love your show. I love getting to connect with a fellow Chicagoan, though we are 10 minutes apart and just virtually connected. This is really special for me to, have kind of shared the same journey and made it back here.
Yes. Yeah, we were just briefly talking about that today. You moved back to Chicago 2 years ago, right?
Yep, 2018.
Yeah.
It's been like a whole new, I feel like I'm living the best chapter of my life now, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to switch it up to this level for sure. and get to kind of look back at everything and in such a different kind of place, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a whirlwind because you started modeling when you were 17. Is that right?
Yeah, just turned like 16, just turned 17. I was scouted the day of my first plane ride, visiting the University of Miami. And so it was my first time on a plane. And then I was scouted by someone looking for models for Abercrombie, and he asked me what agency I worked for. And I was
you were just like in the airport and some random guy came up to you and said, "Hey, are you a model?"
It was South Beach. We like, the weather was so nice. It was my first time going anywhere cool. So we were going to visit the campus of the University of Miami, but we said, like, let's go walk around South Beach and then we'll go do, the work stuff. And it was there on South Beach that happened. And I mean, I was just like horrified and embarrassed. I was with my best friend in high school at the time, and he didn't ask her to model. It was just like really weird. I was like, no. But my friend's mom got his contact, gave that contact to my mom, who kind of pressured me a little bit to just investigate. And it was kind of like one of those things where, when something happens, you kind of just have to say yes and just see what happens.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's a little part of me always that's like, doesn't want to regret because of fear. And I was definitely afraid, I have to say. Like, I didn't like being on stage or in the spotlight. So the idea of succeeding was horrifying to me. I really didn't want to go to New York and succeed. I really kind of wanted to secretly just get to come back home. But
you wanted to prove your mom wrong.
Yeah. Probably. But I went there. 3 days later, my mom left, and there I was living in a model apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that, obviously you're a beautiful girl, a beautiful woman. And, I think sometimes people can look at someone like you and be like, oh, she's had it easy. She probably, like, life just comes super easy and you probably just show up and people just offer you all kinds of stuff. But as a model myself, I know that with whether it's modeling or acting or anything in life, it requires, like, if you really want to be successful, it requires a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of discipline. So I've got some questions here that some people have written in about with regards to, like, what did it take to get runway ready and, moving to New York at 17 years old. What was, you obviously said you were what, kind of scared, intimidated a little bit about venturing into this whole new world. What was that like for you?
Well, I'd say, first of all, like, sorry about the cats. You're destined to ruin this. Okay, let's just talk over them. So in high school, I was super kind of disciplined, and like, I was super into sports and academics. So I was like top of my class in school. I was just like super kind of like straight edge. I really knew what I wanted in my life and what I was going to do. Like, I wanted to be a doctor. I knew the path I wanted to be on. Mm-hmm. And just like that, I was kind of, my friends described me as like a nerdy jock kind of. And so that kind of discipline of, like, from playing sports and like in school really, I think, helped me. When I got to New York, I was just like buckled down, super like, okay, I didn't feel like I belonged there. And so I felt like I should go above and beyond to just prove to myself that I deserved to be there. I didn't know what to take, no, I don't think any human feels that they are supposed to be a model. I mean, before I went to New York, never looked at a magazine and thought that's a person. I didn't know there was a modeling industry. It just like never crossed my mind. But like, certainly when I, was just immersed in all of it, I was like, oh, you must be, I don't know. I definitely didn't feel enough. And so I just felt like I had to overcompensate. I had to work super hard and just like, I don't know, all those things from school.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me backing up a little bit. So when you were in high school, you said you were academically, successful. You studied hard. You were a good athlete. Mm-hmm. did that come from your family's work ethic, or was that just something that you think people are born with? Was it to like please your parents?
Totally.
I know
Please.
I was always like, I just wanted to like make sure I, make mom and dad happy. And
yeah, that was it.
yeah.
I honestly, I wouldn't, if my parents like came to every one of my practices and games, they filmed every one of my games. Like, I'm blessed that they cared. It was also like, kind of trauma. It was like a little too much care, but like, now that I'm adult, I can look back and be grateful how, like, that privilege of being cared about and loved. And that like, I felt that me doing good at school and doing good at sports would make them happy. And like, that's really where it was all coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's part of me that just wanted to have a better life, not worry about money and just like, just do a little bit better than what I had and just be a doctor and be successful. And kind of like that was just I was just super rational about what I wanted. And I loved science and biology. I did science fair and, I was just like full on, geeky about, I just had a passion. I just kind of always just knew where I was going. And then that was just totally, it's just funny. I felt like how much more I knew what I was doing before I started modeling. And then like everything was, kind of the rug was pulled underneath me a little bit.
Yeah. And then you find yourself in New York City working for the likes of, I mean, you name it, the laundry list of designers and companies you've worked for: Chanel, Tommy Hilfiger, Marc Jacobs, Carolina Herrera, Dolce & Gabbana, Oscar de la Renta, Valentino. I mean, the list goes on. Vogue, GQ, Glamour, Cosmopolitan, Karl Lagerfeld, and then of course the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. For someone coming from, the middle of nowhere, being thrust into this environment, did you feel like you had mentors or like your agents that kind of showed you the ropes and told you what to expect, or did you kind of have to figure it out on your own?
I guess I had agents telling me what, you have agents, you have other people to look at. I think that I'm like kind of a people watcher, and like, I'm like always watching everything. I think my whole modeling experience was just like a case study and me just observing stuff, Mm-hmm. So I definitely would I just remember, I have a vivid memory, like now that you mentioned that, of just being backstage and looking at all the girls and just like praying. Like I just saw them like moving in front of the camera and I'm just like, God, they're peacocks. I wish I could be a peacock. Like, how can I?
Like Victoria's Secret peacock.
I know. That's so funny. I never thought about that. But like, I was so like shy and like, it wasn't my, these girls were just so impressive and confident. And like, I didn't feel that way. And it's funny to hear you even listing off these like fashion names, because like, and here I am feeling like fashion never really accepted me, like, It's funny, no matter, on paper, it sounds like super interesting, but the human experience of it was just like, I kind of still am connected to that girl that just was just dropped there and is still like trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I just remember I was in Milan, Italy, and I was doing the Versace fashion show. I'm backstage, and there's like Naomi Campbell and Amber Valletta and I mean, the top supermodels in the world. And I'm looking around like, how the hell did I get here? Like, like what? I don't know, like, pitch me. I mean, I would call my sister from Milan. I'm like, Carrie, I'm about to do this show and there's Donatella Versace. She's like, oh my God, that's crazy. Just enjoy it. And I was like, it was just such a crazy out of body experience in a way, but
totally. And like, don't you feel like you can never explain to your family? Like I felt this kind of disconnect from my family and my siblings. Like, how can I ever, especially when you're in Europe doing shows and it's just like you're with like the designers and it's just like, how can you even process this, let alone tell them what it's like? It's like, it is, I feel so privileged and blessed to have had those experiences despite like what, it's not like just being able to witness it, definitely, I was still just such a young girl.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I was definitely like a part of it as much as it may have seemed, but like it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you feel at the time like a pressure to look a certain way and to make sure that you were, super thin? And did you feel the pressure of agents saying, okay, make sure no Twinkies or no ice? Like, was that just kind of common knowledge, just seeing other girls that you worked with?
See, for me, I started eating healthy when I was in high school because of sports, because I was so interested in biology and how the body worked, and just what I put in my body was always something super interesting to me. Like I thought I wanted to be a nutritionist. Like I was always into that, and like how food equaled like performance. Like I would always pack my lunch. And so healthy eating, I'm lucky that like I was interested in healthy eating, that like I didn't have to, because when you're in high school, it's okay to eat shit, but eventually it's when that's not going to give you what you need to look like to be a model. So I kind of like reverse engineered what I was seeing, and I never skipped a meal. But when I was 16 to 22, it was pretty easy. I'm 6 feet tall. Like I was super athletic in high school, so I had a bunch of muscle left over. So like, just eating healthy, being super busy. Yes, like there were times where I got canceled, for example, from Balenciaga. They were like taping my boobs back, and like, they're totally scarring memories, of course, of just like trying to fit into a sample size that is so tiny, and just being like, it has an effect, a lasting effect on you. But I always tried to look at it like sports, like that this is like an event, like with sports, if you play well, if you perform and you execute, then you get to start, right? And if you don't, then you don't, right? And it's not personal. So I tried to like not make it personal, but it, during the shows, it was more intense than when I started doing VS. And definitely when I hit like 23, 24, when all the things I was doing naturally just didn't add up to the body that people wanted me to have, which was still, mind you, a beautiful, athletic, great body.
I'm sure.
So much thinner even than I'm now. I love what I look like now, right? But like there was a point where it was, okay, this is just not, this is not scientifically possible without being sick.
Right.
And that's like what it comes down to. So then you realize that everyone's basically just telling you to be sick.
Yeah, I read, I did a little research, and I found something you said in an article. It said you got to a point where one night you got home from a workout and you remember staring at your food and thinking, maybe I should just not eat. And you got depressed because you were working so hard and you felt like your body was resisting you. So, obviously as we get older, our bodies change. And, I think a lot of people, I'm getting older. I noticed that I just can't do the same things that I did in the past. What advice or insight would you give to someone who is struggling to maybe lose weight? And for you, would you say weight, body image, is it a mindset? Is it something that, obviously it's got to be internal, because our willpower lasts only so long. So you can only resist something for so long before you just want to get back there. And, like yo-yo dieting, I think it really comes down to your relationship with your self-identity. And I identify myself as an athlete. I do triathlons. And so it's almost as if like I live my life through the perspective of what do I need to do in order to be my best self when I'm running, when I'm biking, when I'm swimming, or like when I'm in front of the camera. You can either decide to focus on that, or you can focus on the 5 minutes of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream that tastes great in the moment,
right?
But in the long run, it's not the healthiest for you. So how would you say your perspective and your mindset is with regards to staying healthy and keeping your body image and the way you look just in a place where you feel comfortable and you feel good about just being yourself?
I'm glad you asked that. Recently, I listened to this audiobook. You can also read this book called Intuitive Eating. And that really, like, I would highly recommend that to anybody who's ever dieted ever, or who's ever felt insecure with their body ever. Only taking the space that I have taken from modeling was I able to finally be like, okay, I feel comfortable, but I really want to unravel more of this like stuff that I know is, just built up, in my just memories of like just bad habits and just, just compounded conflicting advice, right? Like I felt like I could do it. So like my eating habits were so easy and natural when I first started modeling, because it was really based on health and it was just kind of intuitive to me.
And you're young and you're burning thousands of calories without even trying.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the trick. First of all, first and foremost, just be under 22 and fine, please enjoy it. But then after that, like, I think I just was hearing so much information that I didn't even know how to eat at a certain point. And I think then I just like threw in the towel and was just like, screw it. And like,
you were overwhelmed by so many different advices about what to eat, what not to eat.
Once you read something, it's just like reading a bad comment about yourself. When you read something that basically says everything that you do is wrong, or everything that you're eating is not good for you, and here's why. And they say that because, there's certain diets that are being marketed, and they use marketing tactics to, sell their point of view. And I think that just the book Intuitive Eating and just the concept of just understanding the dieting mentality and understanding how that just doesn't work. Like statistically, dieting never works. And this is based on scientific research. Like when they test mice, if you ever restrict the diets of mice, they're going to overeat after, and it's just going to backfire. And just living a lifetime of having that restrictive followed by, binging in some sense, because you can't restrict forever. It's just boring as hell, A, and B, it's just like not conducive to reality. I'm just also not that good at being controlling. Some people are really good at that. Like, and a lot of those people are great models. Like, I like to eat. I like to, enjoy my life. And there's a balance to it for sure.
So what would you say are the tenets or the principles in that book that you would say that you'd want to share with people who are interested in what the book is about?
I would say one of the first and foremost, like just take a week and just eat what you want when you want, and don't think about any rules. Don't think about any negative talk. Just remove all that and see what happens, because you end up like craving something and eating something else, and you just end up eating more and more of that without ever being satisfied. And then you end up eating, something else because you just never feel satisfied. Whereas if you just maybe wanted ice cream and like just had ice cream for dinner, and like when you actually equal the amount of like calories, whatever that is, it's not, you're not going to be overeating. And just like stop this restricting. You don't need to, and it won't even give you what you want. You can get what you want by just listening to your body and doing and just giving yourself what you need. And stuff like so much of my journey has been about the whole theme, I think, is about the relationship I have with myself. Every single kind of thing or conflict I've been through kind of relates back to, was I in touch with myself? Was I treating myself kindly? Like how you treat your best friend or your significant other or your sibling or your mom. Like I treat these people with so much love and care and like compassion and patience. And I recognize that the way that I was treating myself was like total bullshit.
Yeah.
It was like not
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually I think what happens is, and I think I see this in other people now too, when you betray yourself enough, you start to rebel. And that's where you have this, what is inner conflict, what is like downward spiraling or any kind of like, that comes from just constantly treating yourself poorly and having a bad relationship with yourself. And as soon as I mended that relationship with myself, and like I do a lot of self-talk, like every time I work out, I pat myself on the back. I'm like nice to myself, like I'm a little baby, And that really changed everything for me, for sure.
Yeah. I read there was I can't remember where I read this. I don't know if it was like Tony Robbins or some motivational speaker. He said, just take your cell phone, your iPhone or whatever it is, and for just for a little bit when you're walking around, or just even when you're in your apartment by yourself, just record all the mental chatter in your voice and vocalize it so it's actually on your phone, so that when you play it back, you can actually hear the mental abuse that you just feed yourself on a continual basis of like, you idiot, what are you thinking? Or you're fat, you're disgusted. What did you do? And, I think we beat ourselves up way more than we actually realize it. And then we go out into the world and wonder why people don't respect us or treat us nicely. And it's because all day long, if we're continually beating ourselves up, then when we walk out into the world, then subconsciously that's what we give off, that we don't deserve to be, honored or respected or to be loved.
Right. And you don't have that kind of like united front of like you with yourself, where you're just at peace and like okay with yourself. And now I feel like when stuff happens, like it just kind of, it just kind of trickles off me like a duck, because I'm just so cool with myself that like I can't be shaken in some way, or like something will happen, like, and what I mean by something is like something that might, shake your self-esteem, or something that like might hurt your feelings, for lack of a better example. I'm just so quick to be like, oh, well, that hurt. Like I come to my own rescue, and just, I wish I was taught that earlier on. I guess this is coping skills that I wasn't raised to have them, but like, I think when I have kids, I will definitely try to instill them. And like to all young people, like I definitely hope to share how like coping skills, like which have worked for me, and like how they're just necessary in today's world. And like, they're kind of like so important. You can't just, I don't know. It sounds like a silly thing, but it's so important to have them.
Yeah. Well, you said, obviously when you started, you were, trying to figure things out and insecure. Where or how did you gain the self-confidence to where you're at right now, where you just kind of let it slide off? And when people may say a comment or something that doesn't bother you as much, because people say like, oh, I just need to get more confidence. I need to just feel better about myself. But how did you get confidence? Like, where does confidence come from?
Something that I heard that was super interesting is you don't get self-esteem. You don't just get it. You do it by taking actions that are esteem building actions. I'm not wording this correctly, but for me, what built my self-esteem up the most was coming from a place of rock bottom and like totally being in like, I don't know, small, tiny pieces, and having to like take all those pieces together and take responsibility for them, and kind of slowly but surely kind of get myself together and kind of build from the ground up, build myself back up. And like from coming, I was coming, at fitness, at everything that I was doing before from a place of strength and like ease, but coming at it from when I moved home to Chicago, from when I just quit smoking and was 30 pounds heavier, and thinking I'm never going to be in shape again in my life. And, like, hey, it was fun being cute. Those days are over. It's never going to, like, just feeling so like hopeless, and actually doing it when it's hard and doing it when it sucks.
Yeah.
And every day just showing up for yourself and like proving to yourself that you have your own back. Like you can do that. I don't know. That's what, now that I am where I am, I feel such a different way. Like I feel a certain sense of protectiveness for myself. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm kind
Yeah,
of
no, you do absolutely
a little bit, but if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But I'm curious because you just said you were 30 pounds heavier than you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so at a certain point,
Way.
What's that?
And not in like the muscle way. Not
Okay.
Because
So,
like weight is stupid, you know.
Yeah.
Muscle weight's
So
not fat, but whatever.
that's interesting though. So like you got to a place in, your career or whatever, where for you to put on that kind of weight, what was it? I mean, were you just in a place where you didn't feel good about yourself, or
I was super depressed. That's a different thing that we haven't spoken about. Like I just had severe depression where I slept. It's kind of a myriad of things. Part of it is being prone. Part of it was dating an alcoholic. Part of it was, and just doing that and drinking because of that. Part of it was, I would say the biggest contributing factor to what led me to be depressed, I think, was I did Victoria's Secret for so long, and that was like my community. Mm-hmm. And I didn't care about any of the stuff that I think people care about with Victoria's Secret. What I really valued was like having the same people that I see every day and feeling like I was a part of something. And that, that's really what makes me tick.
Friends, community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like when that ended, I don't think I was able to cope properly with that was just gone, Yeah. And I think I was super sad. And I think I was a bit lonely. And, so sad that's, mm-hmm. That community is gone. And also feeling like it was more real than it was when, but like work relationships are work relationships and it's not personal or anything. But like, I think that was really difficult for me. And I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to, I wasn't like talking to myself enough or like checking in with myself. I didn't know how to check in with myself in the right way to understand what I was going through. So I just kind of like pushed everything away. And I kind of just got really sleepy. I was just so tired all the time. And like, I remember watching a building next to my apartment being built. And I'm like, shit, they just built that building. And I'm just the whole time. Like,
and I've been sitting here just smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, totally. And eventually, like, I think hitting that, it's interesting. And I'm not saying anyone should live their life like me, where you throw a tennis ball into a room and it hits every wall before it settles in the middle. Like, you don't need to make all those mistakes mm-hmm. that I made. But like, I definitely feel that like I didn't know any better at the time. Like I was definitely always trying my best. I think trying my best so much that at a certain point, I just overexhausted myself and I just, you know what I mean? I was trying too hard for too long.
Yeah. I just got tired of, I was in New York and LA for the past 20 years, acting, auditioning, modeling, all that stuff. At a certain point, because I came back to Chicago similar to you 2 years ago. And one of the things that made me want to just come back to Chicago and get regrounded mm-hmm. was the fact that I just got tired of feeling like I wasn't being seen for who I was. I felt like, you go to the parties, being in TV and film, I felt like I had to be on a lot. Totally. And I felt like I just couldn't just share what I was really going through. And like you said, I just felt alone. And every time I would come back here to Chicago, I just kind of felt like these are my peeps. Yeah. These are my tribe. Yeah. And instead of feeling like people were like, hey, what movie are you doing next? And what TV show, like what project? It was, hey, Colin, you want to come over and grab a beer? How you doing? Like, did you see the Bears game? Mm-hmm. And when you said, like, when we have that community that we feel a part of, that is so huge to our well-being. And, what's great about what you're doing now and what I'm inspired by and proud of you for is that you have taken all of your experiences and taken everything that you've learned from some really amazing trainers and now you've taken it and transformed it into your own business. So as an entrepreneur now, you have started your own fitness studio, right?
Yes.
Here in Chicago. So what's it called?
It's called Resistance. It's in Wicker Park. My boyfriend and I started it together. he started doing Legree with me. Legree is something I discovered when I first moved to Chicago, and I'd never done it before. It's a kind of method of working out, kind of like Pilates. You're using a megaformer, which is kind of like a reformer, but it's just super intense and it's different. But yeah, I just fell in love with this workout, and it totally transformed my body. And like I said, I never thought I was going to be in shape again, but then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. And I did, doing this thing. And it was just, we did it together a bunch, and eventually we decided to just like open up our own because we just love doing it together. Yeah. It was just something that, I don't know. It just was a special kind of ritual for us.
And it's called Legree, L-E-R or L-E-G-R-E-E.
Lagree. But you can find all the information about like the classes we offer and like the method, like the Legree method at resistancechicago.com. That's our website. And oh yeah, it's there. Yeah. So and
what would you say are the benefits of Legree? Because I've done Pilates, and it's a lot of like stretching and strength training. What do you like about it? What are the benefits?
Okay, so what I love about it is that everything you do is super slow, and so what you're doing is building your slow twitch. You're building your muscular strength, but with your slow twitch muscles, which are like the long, lean muscles, not like the bulky ones. But those muscles are the ones that stabilize you. They're the ones that give you your endurance when you're long distance running, and they're just super important for when you get older. They're like having that kind of strength is super functional in everyday life for running errands, just like doing everything basically. It's the kind of strength you get from like holding a plank or like doing isometric hold type of thing. And so what you're doing when you're doing Legree is you're building this strength that is super lean muscle. And by building that muscular strength, you're increasing your metabolism, because the only way to really increase your metabolism is to build muscle. And so when I started working out, I was like, okay, I just need to build muscle to eat the fat. And that's kind of just like how it works. And then I kind of got really into the strength that I had that, as a model, you're not really allowed to have
muscles.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of love it. I love being strong, and I love, like, I don't know, there's something cool about it that is a new kind of body. I don't know, there's a new way that I like enjoy my body away from modeling, and it's a different type body that I think is more cute. So that's fun.
Yeah. And I'm coming on Thursday to
can't wait.
Your studio, so you can kick my ass for what, an hour or so?
Yeah, an hour. 45 minutes. 45-minute Legree class. I can't wait to have you. And
I can wait.
It's gonna be great. I also like teaching classes has been so life-changing. I love connecting with the people that I'm working with. Working out has always been my favorite part of modeling, honestly, was the working out part, and like the just getting in my body, connecting with my trainer, or in this case, like group classes. I don't know, sharing that energy together is really healing. Yeah. And when I didn't know anyone, when I came here and just going to group classes, I just felt like I felt so uplifted after that, just seeing everyone just like trying their best, and like, how are they doing this hard ass workout? Like, this is so hard. Like, I was just so proud of everyone for just doing that. Yeah. And now getting to share that with people and connect with people and help them on their journeys to just being more fit is super healing for me.
Yeah. And you're doing something that is you. It's not you showing up and, putting on some lingerie and walking out. I mean, obviously, it's fun, it's exciting, but it's
weird so much.
Someone else's project. You are now doing something that it is your own. It's your stamp on it, and it's your spirit, your contribution to making a difference in other people's lives. And I think you hit it right on the nail right on the head when you said being in this community just makes you feel
What's all she wanted?
Supported and connected. And so I would say anyone out there who's looking to get that motivation to get that kickstart, to feel a part of a community, whether it's doing like online yoga or just, especially right now where we can't all, like my gym is still shut down. But there's
have also, just so you know, we have like UV lights that we run after every class that kills all bacteria. They use them in hospitals and ambulances. Everyone wears a mask. Everyone's 6 feet apart. We definitely take extra precaution.
Mm-hmm.
So you will feel safe when you come get your butt kicked.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask a couple of questions from our audience. I went on Facebook Live earlier, and we have our first question is from Allie Court. She's from Australia, and she says, do you have any advice for someone who wants to be a model but doesn't necessarily fit the mold?
I think that not fitting the mold is the best approach to modeling right now. I think breaking the mold is the movement right now. If I was starting now, I would definitely take advantage of social media better. That was not really happening when I started doing Victoria's Secret. They kind of introduced it right in the middle, and it wasn't second nature to me. Like this is like all new and stuff.
Yeah.
Stories are new for me. It's like really sad. So like definitely just put yourself out there. I feel like you have all the power now and you can do whatever you want. Just do what you love. Like take pictures of yourself. I was thinking when I was going to do maybe some modeling again, I was going to take pictures of myself. And I think that would be a fun experiment. Like do it differently, like I think that just kind of doing it through social media and doing it your way is the way to go. Yeah.
I think as soon as I think the thing is people try to fit in, and when you fit in, obviously if you're just like everyone else, how are you going to stand out? And so I think that is great advice by, especially right now with social media, where you can tell your own story, you can control the narrative.
Right.
Where, with this, like with Coffee with Colin, I would never get to be able to do this because I would have to like try to get ABC or CBS or NBC to approve of me. And now with social media, you can start your own podcast. You can, do your own stories and like you said, and really start to create a little following for yourself. And especially as like the oldies who didn't grow up with social media. This is, we're all still learning.
Yeah. Take advantage of your skill.
Yeah, exactly. Next question is, this has to do with model safety. And, there's a lot of women who, like you started working when you were 17 years old. I remember I was in Japan and I was modeling there for 2 months. And I remember meeting some of the girls that I was working with, and they were like 14 years old. And they were like, I'm from Russia, and my mom and dad sent me here because in Russia, she was telling me her dad was a police officer and made the equivalent of $35 a month. Her mom was a banker and made the equivalent of $30 a month. And there she was in Japan making like $1,000 a day that she would send most of it back home to support her family. Mm-hmm. And so it's as someone, if that was my daughter, I'd be concerned about her safety and her well-being. And, of course, sex trafficking is pretty prevalent nowadays. And at least more awareness is being brought to it. I guess my question is, did you experience much sexual harassment? Did you find yourself in compromising positions where you didn't necessarily know how to say no at the time? And, what was that like for you? Or did you feel pretty protected the whole time you were working?
Did you feel pretty protected? No, I didn't. Pretty protected. I think that is a luxury that I think people in the future will get to feel. Definitely. I had an experience where I woke up when a photographer was in my bed with his tongue down my throat, and I was a virgin. I was like, what? Like, luckily you know, I can understand how other people, like for me in that situation, you know, everybody's different, and I have so much empathy and compassion for people that, like, you know, this was a big photographer that I was working with, and like, at what point is it like you're so afraid, or you're so, you know, like you're just put on the spot to the point where you kind of give in? For me, I knew that there was no giving in. I wasn't like, I've never felt afraid of, I always felt like like no one can fuck with me. Like that's me though.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I'm going to play dead. I don't want to embarrass him. And then
You
eventually
just played dead while he was like kissing you?
I just kind of was like, played awesome. I was just like, oh, I'm dead. And he went away eventually. And then, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to go. And then it's just awkward. And I had to work with that guy forever. You know, he was around, right? And it was this awkward thing, but that, luckily, that wasn't scarring for me. That was fucked up, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it was scarring. Maybe I have to dig deeper. But like, yeah, there was a lot of other things that were messed up that I'm glad are being, you know, kind of aired out and like talked about now, because that shit ain't right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's tough too, though, when you're young and you're being offered like a giant Gucci campaign.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, you get the Gucci campaign, but, you know, let's do some topless pictures. I mean, when you're 15, 16, 17, 20 years old, I could see where it would be, you know, confusing. Like, why am I in this position? And unfortunately, that does happen. So I was just curious if that.
And I also think that like, I was also privileged enough not to expect adults to, the adults that I knew in my life weren't predators. And you have to understand that people that gravitate towards that industry are a lot of predators. And like, I wish I had known that more.
So what would you tell? So for like, let's say moms out there who have daughters who are wanting to get into the model industry, what advice would you give moms and young women who are looking to get into the industry with regards to what to expect, what's possible out there, and how, like what to say when they're in that situation?
I definitely think you need to have a protocol in place. Like if this happens, like talk about it. If this was talked about with me ahead of time, I think I would have not have been as scared or surprised.
Yeah.
You know that this is like, there are people that are going to try this. They're, there are bad, you always know that there are bad people, but like, it's the nuance of it, right? Of these types of predators. I think just talking about it and knowing what situations are not good situations to even get in. I think that's important. And knowing that your agents, like my agents at the time, put me in that situation, knowing that it was wrong. And that was kind of something that was exposed. And I think that, I think calling that out and just knowing that you're with the right people. I don't know. People always say like surround yourself with people you can trust, and that's a hard thing to know at a young age. But like if you have someone that you do trust advocate for you and help you figure out what that means, I think that's vital.
Yeah, definitely. Lisa Marie Kulmus asks, what is the biggest thing you have learned? What's the biggest challenge you've overcome in life?
The biggest challenge I've overcome in life is loving and accepting myself despite like what I'm achieving. It's so easy to be on your team when you're successful.
Yeah.
Like in life, there will always be ups and downs, and success is this constantly changing arbitrary thing. And it is so important to be able to find that silence, that joy, that like non-moving, just acceptance of yourself.
Just for who you are and not because of what you do, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yes. Another question, is there any special, this is from Sherry Powell, is there any special training Victoria's Secret models do before a fashion show?
When I trained for the fashion show, I worked with this trainer, Justin Gelband, and he worked with a lot of the Victoria's Secret angels. And the thing that he would have us do are a lot of the moves similar to what we do at Resistance, doing the Legree method. Everything was slow and controlled. And that was something different from any other workout I had done. All the movements were super slow. And when I discovered Legree here and recognized that similarity, I knew that I was in the right place, that I was going to get the results that I wanted. So yeah, definitely the slow movements. There's some kind of magic to that.
Awesome. And last one here is, let's see here. Let's see if I can get a good one here. How do you handle the haters being in the spotlight? And this one is from Amy Krause.
Haters gonna hate, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like for every bad thing that you read about yourself, you must like read twice as many good things to just balance it out. And that's the rule, you know? And think of like your favorite person in the world. Like that person has websites dedicated to how much they hate them. People hate them, you know?
Oh, yeah.
This is just the world, and you can't please everybody. And kind of connect in with the people that, like, for me, I just think about the 10 people that I love and care about. And if they're cool with me, then I'm cool.
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice was given to me by my first acting teacher. Her name is Jackie Siegel, and she, from day one, just kept reiterating. She would say, the number one thing you can do for yourself is to honor yourself. So whatever that looks like. So growing up, I always would try to people please and do what I thought was what was going to make my parents happy and my teachers and all that stuff. And when I got to New York, people are just like, yeah, get out of the way. You know, everyone's just like very in your face and very like real. I was like, Jesus, like, you know, in Chicago, it's like, oh, excuse me. Even the police officer would say hello. But in New York, everyone was so direct, and it was refreshing because there was no like pretense or having to like sugarcoat anything. And it was a little abrupt at first, but in my acting class, when Jackie would say, okay, even if it's something that you may not want to do, if you do it, people are not going to respect you, because they can tell when you're doing something that is not honoring yourself. And not only that, but then you keep perpetuating the messaging out there that you don't matter, that people in your life are more important than you. And I think it's very easy for us to do things and, you know, go out of our way to make sure everyone else is happy and taken care of. But one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves is to just, when presented with a situation, ask ourselves, does this honor me? And there's no way you can show up in life and be the person you want to be for everyone else in your life, including family and friends, without you being able to, you know, honor yourself. And when you honor yourself first and foremost, it's like putting the oxygen mask in the airplane that's going down. You can't be there for other people unless you take care of yourself first. And it's awesome to see that after, you know, your whirlwind tour of walking on the biggest runways in the world and Times Square billboards, that you are as down to earth and real and authentic and sweet as I thought you were, because of course you're from Chicago. So I wouldn't think anything less.
I have no choice.
I'm excited to have you kick my butt Thursday.
Yes.
But before we leave, I have to ask you what your favorite particular Pick 6 movie recommendations are. So we're going to start off with, what is your favorite movie of all time?
There Will Be Blood.
One of my favorite movies too. And lead actor?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
One of my favorite actors. And what did you like about the movie?
What didn't I like about that movie?
Do you remember who directed it?
The Coen brothers.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
No, right?
Yeah.
No,
That's right. I'm the actor, so that's all right.
Cut that out. We're live, whatever. I should know that. I know it's Paul Thomas Anderson because we just watched another movie by him after. Anyways, disregard that part, but I love that.
We'll cut that out.
Cut it out.
It's
She's a fraud. No, I really like just that every scene. It's hard to like watch something these days and be totally captivated and just totally immersed in what this, like, the storytelling is just happening to you in such a profound way. And like, I never, the subject matter, you described this movie to me. I like, okay, this sounds like not a fun movie or something I'm interested in.
It's like the late 1800s. It's guys searching for oil in the middle of nowhere, has a son who's deaf. And I mean,
but like, I've never felt so moved by a movie. Like, it's just, I just enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It definitely is a clinic in master filmmaking. So good choice, Erin. Very proud of it.
Thank you.
What was your favorite movie growing up?
Remember the Titans.
Awesome movie. Denzel Washington, baby.
That I feel like sums up my youth soul identity. That movie, I could watch it again and again and again.
And tell us what the movie was about.
It's about this football team. Again, like, these are random, like, I don't know. It's about the characters for me always. It's about this football team, and you're going to remember them. And they're the Titans. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything with Denzel Washington, I'm in. Like, the way he inspires. And
it's about their season. I don't want to ruin anything. They have a fun season. It's great.
Yes. Love the movie.
It's about so much more than just football.
Yes. There's tons of metaphors in there for life.
Yes.
What is your favorite comedy?
Comedy. I loved Inside Out.
Great movie.
But I did just cry so hard in that. So I don't know if it counts as a comedy.
And Inside Out is all about the different characters are different emotions, right? It's an animated.
I saw it at a time when I was very vulnerable, and I just like wept and wept. And I feel like everybody needs to see this movie. And have you seen it?
I have.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it really makes you aware of the different components of our psyche. Totally. And it's like we have these conflicting needs and desires in life. There's the, gotta like achieve and accomplish and get there. And then there's the sweet part of us who wants to give and contribute. And then there's the part of us that wants to play. And there's the part of us that just wants to like rest and slow down. And so we've got this was in the middle of my great sleep year. And like the sad girl who's so tired. It was like so important for me to see that. That was like what was controlling me, driving the ship at that moment. And it was really moving. Yes.
That movie.
What is the movie that you're embarrassed to say you love?
A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
And
why are you embarrassed to say you love
most of my I used to say that was my favorite movie up until like my early 20s. It was like, I don't know why I love that movie so much. I think it was the right kind of sexy. Yeah, it was just something about it. I'm sure people love this movie that are watching this. Come on.
Yeah, Heath Ledger, one of my favorite actors. Mm-hmm. Definitely check it out. Favorite male movie character or actor is, I've already said him, Daniel Day-Lewis. Anything he does, completely immersed in the story. Just, again, a quintessential master at what he does. Who is your favorite female movie or character, female movie character or actress?
right now I have to, like, I'm obsessing and like watching endless interviews of Pamela Adlon from Better Things.
Okay. I don't know who this is.
Please watch the show. I mean, it's about a single mom and her 3 daughters, but it's kind of like Louis, but like for a woman, like the woman's story kind of, and he kind of produces it, whatever. But anyways, the show is amazing. She is incredible. She's funny. It's just so real. It's such an important story to tell. And like, I don't know. I have just followed her on Instagram and just like obsessively watch her interviews. And I think she's the coolest lady ever. So
awesome. So Pamela Adlon.
Yes.
And her show is Better Things.
Yes. Please watch it.
All right. Awesome. Well, Erin, thank you for being here. We have one last thing to do. It's Ask the 8 Ball. So you get to ask the 8 Ball anything you want. You know, this past hour we've been talking, and you know, now that we've developed some chemistry, the 8 Ball is now infused with your energy, and whatever you ask, the truth is going to come out. 8 Ball never lies. So what would you like to ask the 8 Ball?
Okay. Will COVID end soon? Let's go, 8 Ball.
Please. Ooh. As I see it, yes.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. Woo. So the vaccine is coming.
Yes. That was actually uplifting.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Erin, thank you so much again for being here. Good luck with everything. And it's just so inspirational to see how you have completely just, I don't know if reinvented yourself is necessarily the word, but you've taken everything that you've experienced and you've transformed it into something that is really having an awesome impact on people. I've seen pictures on your Instagram of the Legree, and I can't wait to come there on Thursday. And I think to recap, it is all about community and being a part of something that, you know, where you feel supported and you feel like, you know, you fit in with your tribe. So I'm excited to meet your tribe.
Yes, I'm so excited. Come be in it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great night, Colin.
You too. Take care. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. Another awesome episode of Coffee with Colin. Hope you enjoyed Erin's insight and advice. And yeah, tonight, I think it just reminded us of the importance of community, the importance of feeling that we are connected and that we are seen for who we truly are. You know, like Erin was saying, when she was working with the Victoria's Secret, other models, it wasn't necessarily for her about going out on the runways and the traveling. It was really just about the camaraderie of being with her girlfriends and just feeling like, you know, she had her tribe with her. So if you're feeling like you need a little connection, if you're feeling like you haven't quite found your tribe yet, by all means, I would love for you to jump into my Inspire Masterclass. We just started this past weekend, and we're going to be going for 6 weeks. And it is a community of people from all over the world where it's essentially a mastermind where I share with you all my insight and strategies and tools for how to overcome the challenges and, you know, the things that we're dealing with, whether if you're feeling stuck in a relationship or, you know, needing to learn how to communicate better, if you have just lost your job, if you're looking for a way to create an empowering context for where you're at. I've talked to a lot of people, and, you know, obviously we're all going through massive change right now. And sometimes we just need a supportive community to help us get ourselves back on our feet. And if you're interested in checking this out, you can go to my website, colinegglesfield.com. And that's what it's all about. So hope to see you in there. And for those of you who are in the course already, we had an amazing day yesterday. I'm excited to see you again next week. We do group coaching calls every week. And again, thank you for being here. Hope you got some great stuff out of this. And next week, we have Bo Blankenship, NFL football player and real estate agent. So we're going to bro out. We're going to have some coffee talk about what it takes to be successful, not only in professional sports, but in the real estate world again. And in the meantime, have a great week, sending you lots of love and inspiration. I'll see you next week.